As you can imagine, display choice for Macs is nearly physically painful. Everything that doesn't match specific size to resolution or pixel per inch ratio just looks bad. UI elements are too small, textures fallen into more. Yeah, of course you can use size adaptation, but then pixels are not divided in a perfect way, so now you have much more blurred interface. There's a whole bunch of articles about that. You can find one of the most helpful in the description below. Of course, those things won't be likely to scare your average consumer, but if you want a truly perfect display for your Mac, you simply don't have much of a choice. Either you use a non-Retina 1440p display and cry bloody tears, or you use your iMac or MacBook as your main working screen. Maybe you'll buy an old and dim LG Ultra Fine, or nearly perfect and very expensive display XDR. Or maybe you intended to use your old iMac as a monitor. Sorry, but Apple disabled that ability both with M1 Max and new OS versions, so no. And then there's a new guy, Frankenstein's monster, Studio Display. It's 27 inches, but it seems smaller. It's really light, though it looks really heavy, and it gets a hell of a shitstorm on its head. Why? Basically, it's a strange product. Yeah, it's $1,600 instead of a $5,000 for XDR, but add another $400 if you want an adjustable stand. Also, you won't have local dimming, which is an ancient technology, really. Don't even mention HDR or 120 Hz. They're just for MacBooks for now. Actually, MacBook Pro's displays are a few miles ahead in everything but the screen size. But then with Studio Display you get a pair of really decent speakers, a webcam and microphones. More than that, there's so much elements inside it that even M1 iMac looks like a toy compared to it. Yeah, that's a hell big of a coolers for iPhone 11 CPU, by the way. That's why I think Studio Display was designed as a new 27-inch iMac, but something obviously went wrong. Mac Studio looks like a bang for a buck, but Studio Display looks like a really bad deal, right? No, spoiler, it's not. Okay, what it does well. First of all, it works perfectly just as intended with any Mac. 600 nits of brightness are enough even for well-lit room. For example, even new MacBook Pros are locked within 500 nit range. Only high dynamic range videos allow them to jump to 100 nits. And while Studio Display lacks true HDR support, it plays HDR videos on YouTube just fine. Not as well, of course, as new MacBooks or your OLED TVs, but still. Colors are great. It's a pleasure to work with photos and videos due to P3 color range. It's a classic Apple thing. You just can't find a true competitor to Studio Display for its price. But the biggest wow I had was with the speakers. They are approximately 70% of what you're getting from big HomePod. It's really great for music, even though you can't use it for mastering due to built-in equalizer, not to mention it's far from flat on frequencies. But editing, music, movies, TV shows, basically anything that doesn't require a dedicated professional audio hardware will sound just amazing. Also, don't forget you have a Thunderbolt port in here, which is great for MacBook users. Buy a bunch of dongles, wire everything into your display, and just use one cable to connect all of that to your MacBook. I hope you see it has its pros now, but it has cons too. Webcam and microphones. Obviously, mics could have been better, but the main problem is the ultra-wide camera. It's 12 megapixels, but when center stage is not in use, it just crops to 4, at least it feels like that. Actually, I don't get center stage at all. When I speak to my relatives, I stay close to my gadget, otherwise they don't hear me well. Of course, there's been a couple of firmware upgrades, but what is dead may never die, and they just changed white balance and contrast a bit. That's That's it. But one thing that bugs me the most is why there's no AirPlay in here. 27 inches is enough for a casual show viewing, and then there's an A13 Bionic in here, and it has more power than Apple TV's A12. And this display has one of the best built-in speakers on the market. Apple could have embedded Apple TV in it and sell it as a smart display or TV display. That would have been really innovative, and price wouldn't seem so big too. Samsung, for example, did it with their M8, and that's actually logical. What if you want to have a snack with your MacBook at the kitchen table? What if you're tidying up and want to play some music through your phone? It would have been great. And if they don't have that functionality, why A13? Yeah, center stage and ISP, and that just can't be handled by any computer you connect it to, right? Come on. Next big disappointment is 60Hz and SDR, and that's actually understandable. You see, there's no consumer displays with this size to color spaced 120Hz ratio. Actually, even Pro XDR is 60Hz. Usually you pick whether you want a wider color space or more than 60Hz. Of course, they could have just made MacBook Pro's displays bigger, but let's face the truth, it's going to be the next Pro XDR for $5,000, not $1,600. As for true HDR, you need a number from 1000 to 1600 nits for true HDR workflows. That's where you can get that $5,000 display. But okay, let's look at B&H. One VA display from Gigabyte at 43-inch and one display from Asus for nearly 5,000 again. Any article with studio display alternatives tells us to go buy anything with less bright and less colorful panels. And what about TVs? LG announced their 42-inch C1 TV, but its peak brightness is 750 nits with 20% white window. Samsung's Neo QLED, on the other hand, can offer even comparable to XDR brightness levels with mini LED panels and nice $100 price, but it's just not available in many places. Also, it can be smaller than 43 inches. In conclusion, if you want HDR with a desktop monitor size 27 or 32 inches, for example, you can either buy Pro Display XDR for $5,000 or any of the professional displays for color correction, and they are much more expensive. My only real complaint with this panel is the absence of local dimming or mini LED panel. Black is not really black here, and I see a noticeable backlight bleed. Dark gray turns into light gray as fast as you're turning that brightness up, and there's no cure against it. And panel is not the only thing that deserves complaints. Is that really so hard to put an adjustable stand in here by default? Any person taller than 69 inches will not feel great about working looking down. Yeah, build quality is amazing. It takes a real struggle to shake a panel, but $400 for an adjustable stand? Hello, little brother of Mac Pro wheels. And Thunderbolt port. Don't get me wrong, it's great that it's here, but why just one Thunderbolt port? For example, you can charge your MacBook and use high-speed Thunderbolt drive connected to your display at the same time, and that's a bummer. Even M1 iMac has two Thunderbolt ports. In conclusion, you have one of the two real candidates for your Mac. 5K resolution, P3 and 600 nits of brightness, all for not so big price actually. You want HDR, you want even better display, then you can pick Pro XDR. And if you're not getting that $5,000 thing, you will have a ton of pleasure working with Studio Display if you have $1,600 to spare, at least if you're not using your webcam so often. But will most of the people choose between that two options? I don't think so. Yes, if you want to save some money, you'll have to lose some resolution, and it's not that bad, or brightness, which is bad, or color space, and that might be very bad. But most people, as I've said earlier, simply don't care about those things. Some are, yeah, probably you can survive that. And 4K resolution is more than enough for most. Lower brightness? Okay, probably you can use some curtains. P3 or 120Hz. You can find monitors with that color space or even better refresh rate, just not 5K. That's why I don't think it will break sales. And I will understand each and everyone who will not buy Studio Display, because in my opinion it still doesn't offer enough for its price. But it's Apple, pay more or you will break that perfect ecosystem. Thanks for watching, don't forget to leave a like, and I will see you in some time. Let's hope it's not gonna be a year. Bye.